welcome to the DeFi Summits panel. So right now we're going to be talking about DeFi Trader Roundtable. Is DeFi, DeFi Summer 2.0 happening? And we have a few special guests on stage. Welcome to the stage, Boxmining. Welcome to the stage, Justin Wu, and also Nathan from Cryptonauts as well. So kind of like get a general kind of like a audience introduction. Can you guys kind of like give a brief description about what you guys do and what you guys are doing in the space? I guess I'll go ahead and start with Justin.
Hey everybody, well, happy to hop on board and share my thoughts. I've been involved in the space since 2015. Been doing both like trading and building communities in the space. So just happy to share kind of my perspective here with you guys all on what I've been seeing in terms of like DeFi trends. I've been working alongside with a few different projects on some protocols, especially emerging ones like in the Cosmos and Polkadot ecosystems too. So happy to share more perspective on this topic later.
Excellent. Welcome, Justin. And also Michael from Boxmining as well. Hi, welcome.
Hey guys. Hey Michael. Other Michael. Oh, okay. Thanks for having me on here. So I'm Michael. I run the channel Boxmining. So it started off as very much a community adventure to just kind of document what's happening, and my journey into crypto started off all the way in 2016. And obviously, as kind of the channel grew, we grew more adept into understanding what's happening in both Bitcoin, Ethereum, the DeFi ecosystem, and everything that's going on. So right now, our community is almost at 230,000 strong on YouTube. We have a large discussion channel on Telegram as well. I was actually really lucky throughout most of DeFi summer because I got into it very early. Like I started farming before YFI was even announced. And I was lucky enough to bring the channel and to cover some of the initial launch of YFI as well when it first launched, when people were doubting like, oh, why should I deposit funds here? And, people were freaking out, and we managed to get a lot of YFI. Fortunately, of course, there's a lot of stuff that followed, and I think it was a very good adventure, something that I definitely want to repeat of because I feel like there's a lot of to explore in this space to continue on. So I hope to add a lot to this panel. And if you guys want to check me out, Boxmining, just search that up on YouTube. It'll be great.
Excellent. Welcome. And also Nathan for Cryptonauts as well. Hey, Nathan, can you give kind of like a brief description about yourself?
Hey everyone. Hey, Michael. Glad to be here. My name is Nathan. I'm with the Cryptonauts YouTube channel. We're the Disney or this magic school bus Sesame Street of crypto. We try to break it down into very easily digestible bits with animations and cartoons, just kind of a very broad sense of education and just different ways to kind of share with the audience what crypto is. I fell into DeFi summer last year, and Michael Boxmining was the one who told me about YFI. He was like, yo, get into YFI. And I will never forgive myself for this because I was still kind of like, what is...
It seems that we have a little bit of stream technical difficulties. Sorry about that. But yeah, to kind of sorry about that, guys. We're in the middle of the talk on there, but just quick technical difficulties. But if anything, if you guys are still listening, make sure that you're joining our token giveaway. So our token giveaway is having $20,000 worth of NFTs and tokens. It's going to be bit.ly/DeFi bag. So you can kind of go on there and be able to look at some of the prices that we have offering. If not as well, you can also join our Telegram channel. So from our Telegram channel, there's going to be a lot of different types of content on there. We're going to be releasing out more things on there as well, so that you guys are able to kind of go into learn a little bit more about a lot of the things that we're doing, especially for DeFi, because we want to have it to where you're really educated and really learning and understanding the space. Let me go ahead and try to get the video back up, and so you guys can get some of the insights from us about our DeFi Trader Roundtable as well. Hi guys, welcome to the DeFi Summits panel.
We are expecting DeFi to come in from other protocols too, from like Polkadot. Polkadot's not going to turn online until like Q4. Kusama just turned online as well, so we'll see how that turns out. Cosmos DeFi and Gravity Bridge, Gravity Dex, all that stuff is not going to come out until maybe a couple more months. Same with Osmosis. Solana just had their hackathon as well too, so I think that these killer apps or dApps that would come from these DeFi projects, you'll have the first to farm. So of course you'll have these like food tokens that probably come out on Solana, and then Kusama, Polkadot, Cardano if they turn online at the end of this year. They've smart contracts, and again, at earliest for Cardano, it's in August at earliest. So you're already talking about later start. So I think we're going to see a delayed thing. I think that we're also going to see too that we haven't seen before is integrations with fintech, DeFi and fintech, where Aave or Compound or these DeFi protocols will chill in the background. Something like a Robinhood will probably like take half the boost and then give the other half instead of giving you 1%, we'll give you 4%, and in the back end, Robinhood would probably keep like the other 4 to 10 or 15% off your money as well too. So I think that's going to take more time, but we're starting to see some movement, and we'll see probably like the more startup-y fintech apps want to take that on versus the JP Morgans. So probably I agree with everybody. Like Q4, Q3, Q4 at earliest before we see kind of the next inflection point.
I mean, that sounds like a decade of DeFi, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the applications and then using the protocols in the back. Yeah, it sounds like a good road actually. I'm actually pretty optimistic of what can happen, because we just explored the first layer and then integrating that. And I just want to add to that as well. You talking about the yields and the money. I mean, obviously, the money is what powers the whole of DeFi. Right, the fact that you can take your Bitcoin that it otherwise would be sitting on a ledger somewhere or a Trezor somewhere, and you can bring that onto Ethereum. You can supply it to a lending platform, and you'll earn a little bit of interest. There's a tiny bit, used to be a lot more, but tiny bit of interest, and that's how capital should work, right? Capital shouldn't just like sit in your own freaking wallet and do nothing. Right, that's how growth happens, right? So I feel like this is a situation where all of a sudden we can deploy all of this, and it came so fast, right? It came super fast, and what Justin's you're saying is that allowing all this DeFi to be now integrated into Robinhood or something like that would be super cool. I think people would enjoy it a lot, because if you think about it. In the bank, they're offering interest rates right now. Like they're bragging about 0.6% per annum on the bank right now. So if I go to the bank right now, I'll get like 0.6%, and that's them being nice to me. All right, that's them being nice to me. But in DeFi, if you're yield farming, you're still getting like say 15% if you're safe on your stables, 20% if you're a little bit more aggressive or hyper aggressive. You still get 50 sometimes, and there's still some 50s and 49s out there. So those numbers are just like unthinkable elsewhere, right? 40%, like if any bank offered 40% interest rates, I think like they would have lines outside that would like wrap around Hong Kong, the whole of Hong Kong. So I think there's a lot of opportunities here for public exposure, and I think that's going to be great.
Yeah, and just real quick to add to that I thought it just reminded me of a funny story. So some of my friends that I got into yield farming as well, they come from a traditional finance background, and this is the first time that they've ever seen anything like this, like some sort of growth. They put money in different projects, and then they were like shocked that they were able to make, like, whether it is like 1 uni a day, or whatever, like 1 pancake a day. They were just like literally floored. They're like, no, wait, this is it. And then after that, they were just like putting everything they had into it. they just couldn't believe it. It's like it's not a known thing, It's just like from the traditional world, it's like literally mind blowing. They had no idea that it could do this.
Yeah, but also for the yield, like if you look at like a bank, right? The bank had all those yields in the first place. They were able to secure those loans or secure these different financial vehicles. So it was not known for like the public consumer in order to say, hey, look, you're able to become a liquidity provider. You're able to become a loaner, a lender, a swap, committing swaps. So it was like, if you go to like the traditional bank right now, well, I'm in the US. So it's like the US system is that if you deposit $100 into a US bank account, the bank has up to 10 times leverage in order to lend out your money or do whatever you want with it. So they have $1,000 in, leverage power that they can either short, long, lend out and stuff like that. But for the average consumer, we don't know that. All we see is, hey, look, 0.2% or even 2% was like, oh my God, that is great yield. I am making so much money off of it. But in the back end, it's like the bank is making so much money off of it that they're giving you a little bit of peanuts. Right? They're giving you a little bit that's saying, hey, look, this is enough to make you stay okay with it. And now consumers are kind of like understanding the more financial products that are coming into DeFi because they're now seeing the lending products, they're seeing the swapping products, they're seeing the insurance, the synthetics. Like for me, I still see DeFi as a very early stage, like as in a very immature stage to where most of our financial products are not even fully built out yet. Like if you look at like options for like interest rates, or I would say more insurance protocols and things like that. It kind of comes to like my next question to you guys is like, what financial products do you guys feel like would be needed within DeFi in order to even accelerate us to like the next stage?
I'll share my quick thoughts too. So like for me, I've been tracking a few different projects or even protocols as well. I think that one thing that's interesting, a different play that I've not seen other even protocols have focused on was like, following like Terra Money and Luna. They're going heavy on fintech and on-ramps and bridging that across different territories and regions. Like in the US, they're working with Prime Trust now, building like different teams and Robinhood like experiences, so that people can mess with their synthetics as well as their stable coin, stable yield as well too, and then have that on-ramp where people are able to hop in similar to like how they would with NBA Top Shots and Dapper, right? A lot of people pull out their wallet. Obviously, that don't want to have people take out their credit card so they don't get credit card chargebacks. But that where I think we haven't seen that yet with DeFi. DeFi right now, with all these like taco, sushi, burger, banana, ape coin, all those, or the even other meme coins, that's really catered towards like the true degens and super deep DeFi guys, or the celebrity pump and dumps. But when it comes to like the masses and real use, is still there's still a lot of hoops to go through, I think that's like the next phase, and we're starting to see that, like we saw with Akala coming out too in Polkadot and Kusama. They did a partnership with a fintech company called Current, and Current was actually a crypto. I learned that it was a crypto native or crypto focused startup first, but they decided to build a fintech company first and then go into crypto. So I think that why we hate centralization with like, obviously we hate Robinhood and all these other apps, but like SoFi, all these other trading applications, they have a lot of the trust and the access to a lot of money. So we can build the bridges or stay behind the scenes and still offer it, then we're going to unlock a lot of liquidity.
Yeah, and just a real quick piggyback off that, I think for the general masses for DeFi is to open it up for everyone. And there's two things I feel like is quite important that we have to tackle together, which would be, the first would be the transaction fees, the gas fees. And obviously, we have BSC, and, but, there's the argument that it's not completely decentralized, that it is run on, proof of stake authority with 21 validators, which pretty much all belong to Binance. But I have friends that use BSC because it's cheap. They can't. When it was crazy just a few months ago, nobody can afford $400 to run a contract or to pull a request or something like that. So the transaction fees, I think there's a lot of different platforms that are coming out, like Solana, Polkadot, Cardano, etc., Polygon, that are working to kind of mitigate these fees and make it a little bit better. So I think collectively we can try to fix that. And then the second thing would be the ease of use. It's still extremely difficult to get my family and friends to use MetaMask and to log in and copy a contract address into Uniswap, but then wait, you have to add the token in MetaMask first. But before you add the token, you have to search it. But wait, why are there multiple contract addresses? So you mean anyone can create a contract address? Anyone create a token? Boom, and so that's where I usually lose them. It's got to be easy for people to use. They don't even have to know that it's on the blockchain. They just have to be able to log in, on their phone and click buy or sell. So those are the two things that I'm looking for, and that's what I'm excited to see come out.
I think to add to that as well, so I think you make a good point, Nate. It's not easy to use the DeFi products. And just circle back to what Justin was saying. In 2020, when DeFi popped, why there were so many food tokens were because, well, people wanted to speculate, and it was very easy to copy paste code that was already out there. And this was very, very clear on Binance Smart Chain. So if you look at PancakeSwap, it came out. PancakeSwap is open source. So then anyone can copy that UI. They can swap out the art assets and they look like an entirely different swap, whether it's, tacos or Vikings or eggs or popcorn or Yodas or whatnot. So it was about finding the right meme and swapping the art assets. And that wasn't very productive, to be honest. It's fun, right? But it's not very productive because a lot of these programmers, they only know how to swap assets. They didn't really know how to really innovate and create new code and how to challenge and build upon DeFi. So this is kind of where open source is good and bad. Open source allows anyone and everyone to copy the code, and a lot of times consumers only see the outside layer. So which is what makes kind of swapping assets so effective. Right? Because people say, oh yeah, this is themed differently. Thematically, this is like a vampire. This is kind of cool, a vampire swap, and I have a vampire button here. So it looks different, but behind it, it's exactly the same stuff. It's open source. It's copy pasted from someone else, and the programmers didn't have the knowledge and the power to make something new. So this is what I'm kind of saying with the having a good period for people to really think. And I feel like there's a lot of ground to cover in terms of swaps. I feel like that's kind of like the bread and butter of all crypto, being able to have a lot of assets to swap. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunities here. Right now, whilst Uniswap is very easy to use, I think when I had the first discussion about this with Sam Bankman-Fried, who is the guy behind FTX, and he's got a lot of experience in Wall Street, he's just like, AMMs are just so shite, right? They're literally shite. You don't have any control over how trades are executed. You don't have, like, any trader will tell you this is garbage, right? The fact right now is that if you want to do a limit order on Uniswap, you can do it via 1inch or Matcha, which is the kind of the two places where you can, but it's really a hack around method to do it. And I feel like there needs to be a lot more tools around these swaps for the professional traders to come in. AMMs are cool, but innovating, building on top of that, and it takes time because yet again, like you kind of see with Uniswap v4, actually v3 coming out now, it took some time to do it, and I feel like in the next few years this will become a big. There's a lot of opportunity because it's so inefficient right now that this will become one of the biggest battlefields to get a very good swap working, to decide where you deploy your capital, to have limit orders for once. These are big challenges that I think we need to tackle in this space.
And I also like the analogy of kind of like Uniswap right now too. It's like with Uniswap v3 being deployed, like they switched from the LP model to an NFT model. So like now your liquidity is placed within an NFT, so that you're effectively now you're placing it into a limit range, right? You're going from, hey, look, I want my ETH to only trade between 2,000 and let's say 2,500. You're limiting yourself between that range. But also for that too, it's like now you're producing another factor to where you could lower impermanent loss, which was a really big thing within the industry. Like people were getting wrecked with impermanent loss. Like if a shitcoin just kind of goes down to zero, it's kind of like you effectively lost 99%. But having it to where you have your parameters in there as well, it just provides another tool for it. But if you look at kind of like the traditional trading institutions, like they were looking for stop loss, they're looking for take profits, they're looking for, hey, look, if I trade within the Bollinger Bands or kind of like whatever their strategy is, it doesn't happen on DEXs right now. And even with some of the, I would say DEX market makers right now too, like Wintermute is a very, very big market maker on Uniswap and also on SushiSwap. And for them too, is their motto is to kind of be able to create these strategies in an order book system. So they're using other protocols for limit orders. So it's like these trading financial tools are not fully set there as a regular centralized exchange where you can do all these parameters. But I think that later on, yeah, of course, they're going to be building a little bit more of implementations for these trading tools and kind of iterating to where say, hey, look, I want to do a take profit at 10%, take profit at 5%, setting these strategies up for these DEX trades. And I also think that right now too, it's another question I want to ask you guys as well. It's for me, I see personally is there's a lot of fragmentation in terms of liquidity depending on different pools across multiple blockchains. So let's say, for example, if we see Binance Smart Chain, we see Ethereum, these two pools do not really connect with each other for fund utilization. in terms of like, swapping assets back and forth. It takes a bridge to kind of come over. What do you think, like, in the future of a decentralized finance? Would it be multi-chain? Would it be kind of like all combated back to one chain? Like, how would that kind of ecosystem work?
Well, I think personally that the multi-chain thing is going to take some time to happen. So because different blockchains are built differently, so for example, Bitcoin and Ethereum are different, right? And Polkadot is different. So there's a few theories of how to solve this multi-chain. Anyone can say, oh, we're going to do cross-chain. It's easy to say cross-chain, but the actual ability to do cross-chain is quite difficult. So for Bitcoin, if you wanted to do Bitcoin, right, you would have to use like a two-way peg. That's one way that's been discussed, where you have to peg the price here and then also represent it on the other blockchain. Whereas with Ethereum, you can do like an out, like a contract out, and then do like use the other blockchain and make it a contract in, to kind of keep the tabs of the balances of each chain essentially. And so it's very easy to just say we're going to do cross-chain tomorrow, but in reality, as you know, even with scaling solutions and privacy solutions, all these blockchain problems that we want to solve, they don't happen overnight, and that's something that we all have to kind of realize, because it's easy to just like tout and say all these things, and it's another thing to have a working product. That's why I feel like Ethereum was so groundbreaking. They were able to create all of this Uniswap, Wi-Fi, Curve, and all of these other protocols, and it works. It's a bit slow. You have to run a smart contract, but I think eventually we're going to get the cross-chain stuff down, just like we're going to get scalability and privacy. But it's going to take time. So we'll see who does it.
And just to add to that very quickly, so there's a lot of projects that are proposing cross-chain. So it's like O3 swap, something I looked at recently, and I think Zero Swap, and a lot of these swaps are kind of talking about these cross-chain DEX aggregation, where you're taking liquidity off every single platform and then trying to combine that together. So that's absolutely what everyone is trying to do right now, right? Because everyone's seeing this. And this trend, I think, is absolutely going to go on for some time. So recently we've seen Polygon just really take off, and people start really doing more farming, more capital gets moved onto Polygon. The same thing happened with Binance Smart Chain, and people are looking at, okay, what's next, right? Whether it's Avalanche, whether it's Cardano, whether it's Polkadot, Kusama, Solana. And every chain that's big also has a huge war chest to encourage and kind of like grow and set grow these seeds, right? So Polkadot has a huge development fund too, and the same thing goes with Solana. SBF is here. He's constantly looking at how to deploy capital and make his ecosystem, or the ecosystem he supports, works, right? So almost every single person has fund has a incentive to grow their own chain. So I definitely see multi-chain as the first kind of thing that we're going to experience, where there's a bunch of ecosystems all popping up. And because it feels very novel at the start, I feel like every chain will have its own kind of time. And then eventually, I think down the road, people will be looking at kind of which one will go the best, and probably only one or two will survive, to be honest. Like, that's just being frank. I feel like eventually, we're going to consolidate to one or two chains, and it'll be much easier to build on that too, because eventually it'll be a point where, there's so much infrastructure on one chain, so much capital, people just want to go, like people who are serious want to just tap into that and be able to like, oh, get a loan from Cream and instantly have like a super powerful product that kind of changes the world. So I feel like, yeah, that's going to be the phase that we're going to go through. We're going to go through that, crazy, every chain is going to have its day and then kind of slowly consolidate. But eventually, yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to see everything going.
I'll just say something really quick for this. I guess we'll see in the next few months here, once Cosmos DeFi turns online. Obviously, Cosmos IBC, the inter blockchain communication, will turn online to allow each of the different Tendermint projects to talk to each other and activate the different Cosmos zones. But by design, Cosmos requires each IBC blockchain to give permission to each other. So that's not. I mean, it's more secure in a way, but like it's not. I mean, you have to all agree with all the different paths together. So Whereas something like Polkadot has the relay chain across all the parachains as well. Just from what I'm seeing, I think we might see, with Kusama launching before Polkadot, Kusama being its own relay chain itself, and it will have a bridge and connect to Polkadot. Just imagine 2 relay chains with each parachains in itself. So that would probably be like the closest demonstration, in my opinion, we'll see between 2 very big, shared liquidity across 2 ecosystems that has 100 blockchains each in itself too, with just like the layer 0 relay as well too. So, but the ultimate question though is, can it truly be done in a live environment? We'll have to see. It has not been done yet. It's a crazy idea, and it still can. And then the idea with that is not to beat any chain, but just to connect to Cosmos, connect to ETH, Bitcoin, etc. as well too. But I like where we're going in that direction. Other things too we haven't seen yet. Compound Chain has, they haven't released yet too. They're trying to be like the center, like stablecoin glue. We can't forget about Compound Chain. And I'm sure there's gonna probably be, I don't know, Circle Chain. You never know. They're trying to be the center.
DeFi Summit Chain.
Oh my god. But I feel like this is one of the big problems, right? So I really like Kusama, I really like Polkadot, I really like Cosmos. But if you use it right now, it's very unclean, right? You have to switch your chains, you have to install your extension, switch your chains, and then it's not a good experience at this current point. And not just a good experience for the end user, but I think also for developers. All this sounds great, being able to cross your chain, relay these messages, but I think we have enough problems. Like, developers aren't very good right now with just working on a single chain, let alone working on multiple chains with different criterias, with different communication methods, using a kind of communicator that may or may not work. So I'm a little bit skeptical here. I feel like I think every chain needs to fight for its own ecosystem to build on itself. That's where value is trapped, right? So I feel like this adds cross-chain adds a huge complexity layer, which we know it doesn't really work very well. If you look at how the programming philosophy for the initial that was the the ultimate stop for Ethereum. And it got hacked, right? The DAO got hacked and money got bled. And one of the analysis that they said was that the DAO had just too many working components, right? The more components you have, the less it behaves the way you want it to behave, right? And I feel like this is one of the big challenges, especially if you have live money in it. I don't know. We'll have to see. I feel like it's a case where, having many chains, we'll have to see. It sounds great on paper, but we'll have to see if it works out in reality. And I'm kind of echoing that thought as well there, Justin.
Yeah, I have to agree. The UX and user experience overall sucks. Even though, Polkadot Kusama is such a really bad experience in terms of wallet. We've all worked with experiences that were better too, and I would just expect a little bit more from a $30-40 billion chain. Like they can't even get a wallet. Like there's no good wallet yet. Like what's like? Should we just fund that first? Like the wallet, get the wallet. I think that's like the easiest thing to do. So that's I agree. And then switching to each chain, managing that multiple wallets each chain as well too. Oh yeah, great. I agree.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Ethereum is a dark forest. I don't know if you guys have read that from the developer CZ Sun. He wrote a whole article about it where he and like a couple other hackers had to wake up at 4 a.m. to kind of save like millions of dollars from being front run, and that there are bots out there. Like Ethereum is a dark forest. Like if there is an exploit, if there is a place for somebody to pull the rug, they will pull the rug. You know what I mean? And you better believe that somebody is going to be there. And if you're not there, somebody else behind them is ready to come up on that. And so Ethereum is definitely a dark forest. And so is like the more components, the more exploits. I mean, that's free money for people, and if all you have to do is write a little bit of code, run a little bit of like pay some gas and run a contract, people are going to do it. So
you just need one way over whatever the other transaction is. That's it. And like with that as well, it's like front running is a very big issue within DeFi and everything. And I feel like within I would say the future dates, like a lot of more users are going to be a little bit more, I would say, aware of it, especially for the dark forest part, right? Like if you're looking into like smart contracts that are not audited or kind of like open to the public, you're able to withdraw funds if the smart contract wasn't coded correctly and everything. And I think that DeFi has gotten to a stage to where we're now a little bit better. We're more progressed in that. But I kind of want to hear kind of like the final thoughts of you guys of like what do you think was like I would say like the deciding factor of how DeFi is going to have a catalyst in order to grow within the next year or within the next 5 years as well.
So for me, I think it's just going to get crazier for the time being now, temporarily. I have a lot of friends sending me links to PooCoin.app, which is like the charts for BSC, and I have a lot of people sending me TikTok videos. Like a lot of people sending me that's where we're going. We're going towards Gen Z. You can call me a boomer, whatever it is, but like the younger generation is jumping headfirst into this stuff, and I think that's who we got to cater to. I think that's a huge market, and that's nobody thought that PooCoin would be so hot. Nobody thought that like everything that it's like I said in the beginning, like where we are now is completely different from what we envisioned a perfect world to be, and that's okay. I mean, DeFi it moves fast, break stuff. Like I say, do it. It's the only way to pioneer. Like you don't get to the moon by carefully trying. You do it carefully, but like you have to actually go to the moon, right? And then when you're on the way, that's it. Like you can't. You better make it. You know what I mean? So I think that's the same with DeFi. As soon as you deploy something on the blockchain, like you just trust that it'll happen, and it's going to take a good community, good people to kind of make it happen. But I mean, give it some time. I think we'll see a mature space, kind of like the Robinhood or like the apps. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something on the iPhone, one of these days. Someone's gonna build it. So
and just to quickly add to that as well, I think the next generation is very lucky in a sense too. Sure, it sounds stupid, right? It sounds stupid to that, and Gen Z is investing in some Dogecoin or some other products, but there are some really, really good products in this space. And if you think about it, they're investing at a much younger age, and being in DeFi means that they're not restricted by the centralized banking system. Why we all hate the centralized system is because they pretty much have a monopoly over it. And I think we were talking earlier how a deposit into a bank, $100 deposit into a bank means that the bank has 10 times leverage and they can make way more money than they give you, right? And this is a big problem. Right. And this is the problem that DeFi is directly solving. It allows people to have a transparency of looking into what's going on, and also to have direct access to these products that that would normally be restricted to them. Right. So, we're talking about the Iron Bank and how that deploys capital. But I feel like as this whole ecosystem grows, this is what is kind of almost mimicking the traditional banking scene, but with a difference where everyone gets to be able to participate, not just, people with a license or, people who have the right political connections. I definitely see another area that can grow is with real world assets. So assets like real estate or gold or we're talking about this now. We're in the early stages. The legal framework is obviously not there yet because obviously it kind of borders on that security space. But once the regulation's in space, I don't see why we can't trade houses on an NFT, right, or property on an NFT, or even for something easier, maybe Yeezys on an NFT, right? Like that could work really well. And why can't you just like leverage that too and use that and collateralize that and use that on a loan? So I feel like there's an infinite amount of possibilities here, especially if you tie it to real world assets. But it will take time because obviously the regulation on this is going to be just like nuts. Like, it's something that we're discussing, but it's like, wow, like it's going to be insane. But I feel like, we can cross that soon.
Definitely. For my concluding thoughts, I think really it just comes back down to the user experience, to the everyday non-crypto and DeFi user. And we can get there by bridging DeFi with traditional finance and fintech. The more we go in that direction, then we can kind of go in as a Trojan horse and unlocking a lot of money, even if it's chilling in the background and getting people with their feet wet. It allow fintech companies that are moving faster than the old school institution and banks to move faster and deploy some really even super competitive and crazy advantage products and sub-products that others can have access otherwise. So looking forward towards more of that direction, and I think that the more we can go there, then DeFi and crypto will just continue to explode.
Yeah, excellent insights from you guys, and truly appreciate your time for getting on the panel and kind of being on DeFi Summit. Special thanks to Boxmining, Cryptonauts, Justin Wu as well, to kind of be on this panel with us to share a lot of these insights with our viewers. And if you guys are interested in kind of like learning more about them, please follow them on social media. For Boxmining, Cryptonauts and Justin, like we're more than happy to kind of be able to provide some insights if you guys have any questions and everything. I hope I was able to speak for everyone, but being able to kind of give those insights for especially newer beginners and kind of like getting into the space, what is DeFi and things like that. And also for that too, it's like, thank you guys for your insight, and we hope that everyone else that is listening and watching enjoys the rest of the summit. Thank you guys.